Hey, what's up, guys? Luis here. So today I had the opportunity to do a podcast interview type with Omar Rojas. Omar Rojas is a good friend of mine. He actually came from Georgia all the way to Phoenix, Arizona to do some work stuff. We were able to connect and had a really good conversation. So I've been following Omar for about over a year now. We connected in social media, and man, he's such a great guitar player, an amazing musician, a great MD. So again, I just wanted to had a good conversation about gear, good conversation about music. I think you're gonna find it informational, and also I'm sure you're gonna be able to relate with a lot of these things, especially if you're a guitar player. So please give Omar a follow if you want to check out more guitar stuff. Again, he's really great at it. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. See you guys. Just kind of share a little bit of the story of how we met, right? So pretty much I was doom scrolling like we always do, at least me, into TikTok, right? And then I came across, a little dude that was playing, I think you were playing some sort of a worship song, something like that. And I was like, oh man, this dude is clean. So kind of just, I think I liked it, I commented something, and then I subscribed, and then you subscribed back, I think. And then we started just talking, right?
Yeah, I think what happened was that, this platform is different. Like, and I'm gonna share this real quick with you. You're the second person that I know from the platform that I get to meet personally.
Oh, you got fans.
There was one guy, and his name is Caleb. He's in Denver, and I met him through Instagram, and same thing. He liked one of my videos, and then I checked out his page, and he also has some guitar stuff. And like, you know what? It's about the community, and like let's see what happens. And I got to meet him a couple of years ago, and then I jumped into TikTok, and like we found each other. Like I found your. I think you like one of my videos and subscribed. So I went in and I checked in, and you have a plethora of all types of music, all types of guitars as well. And I'm a fan of music, and I really enjoy meeting people who are fan and like passionate about the instrument. And I love your stuff, man. Like you have a very, very nice setup and a beautiful collection back here. And that's because of work, like made it here, and got in contact with you, and you were gracious enough to allow me to meet you personally.
Yeah, it was cool, man. So the first time, I think you posted a story in your, because I didn't follow you on Instagram. It was on TikTok, and I thought I recognized the building in downtown here in Phoenix, and I was like, dude, I didn't know you lived here. And you were like, I don't, but I'm here for work. I'm like, hey, let's go grab some tacos, right?
And they were pretty good.
Yeah, so we went to meet up for tacos. Shout out Tacos Calafia.
Great stuff.
Yeah. So we were able to meet there. What was it, like maybe 4 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 months ago?
Yeah, I think it was back in like late July, early August.
Yeah, something like that. So we were able to chat it up pretty good. It was an awesome conversation, and I think that's what sparked, like, hey man, we should have just recorded that into a podcast, because it was awesome.
We were there probably like 2 hours, if not more.
Yeah. So it was just gear talk and tacos, man. Doesn't get better than that.
Better than that. That's true.
So a couple days ago, right, texted me. Well, we started following each other in all platforms now, and then you kind of texted me like, hey, I'm gonna be in town, so here we are, pressed of time, right? But we were able to make it happen. So just kind of recap like the conversation we had the other day. I think there's others that kind of gravitate to these type of conversations, right? Especially us that were, fathers. We're busy life, right? You travel a lot for work. I'm all over the place as well. So it's one of those things where it's just kind of fun to have conversations about how we got started. How do we find the time to even, practice these days? We also do work with church, right?
Yeah.
We do a lot of worship stuff. So essentially we're volunteers for a lot of these things. And how do we even find the time? So those are maybe a little bit of the topics that we can talk about. But tell me a little bit about how you got into playing guitar. Like, what was your experience? Who inspired you? How'd you start it?
Well, I started as a drummer. Like, I wanted to learn to play drums, and I grew up in Pentecostal church, and I saw the drummer going ham, and I was like, I want to do that. And when I was 14 years old, I reached out to the worship leader and I told him, hey, I would like to play drums. And he was like, you know what? There's like 7 drummers waiting for a chance to play, but there's a guitar that nobody plays. And if you know a couple chords, I think you could make it.
Yeah.
And at that time, it would be middle school, I was taking guitar lessons once a week. And, they would show me classics like Amor Eterno, Las Mañanitas, that kind of music, like traditional Mexican music. And I knew a few chords, and the worship leader is like, okay, you know how to play A? Yeah. You know how to play E? Yes. You know how to play D? Yes. And he was like, whenever I do this, you're gonna play A. Whenever I do this, you're gonna play E. And whenever I do this, you're gonna play D. Okay. So he started, okay, give me one of those ranchero patterns. I started doing it, chunta, right? And he was cueing me, and I was changing in time, like, well, okay, just stay and play. Like, it was kind of like right there, like on the spot. Like, that's I knew a couple chords, and that's all I knew. And like, I just kind of followed him, and he's like, you did pretty good. I'll wait for you next week. So just show up.
Nice.
And that's how I got into music. Like, nobody in my family are musicians. My mom knew a couple chords, my dad as well, but nobody actually pursued music at all.
Yeah.
And I was the only musician from at the time, from my house, from my neighborhood, and in my school. Like, nobody had any interest in music. Everything was soccer and whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any like early inspirations or artists?
Yes. Well, I guess I got as growing up Christian, there was also a lot of taboo situations, and like, you can listen to any secular music. So I tried to listen to some other stuff, right? But the only thing that I was, I guess, permitted to listen to was everything Marcos Witt, everything Marco Barrientos, everything worship, and Maná.
Oh, okay.
That was it. Like, so I would say that one of the biggest direct inspirations and direct influences would be Jerry West and Sergio Ballin.
Okay, that's awesome. That's a good combo right there. Well, on my end, I guess it was totally different, man. To me, I think it was just very natural to gravitate to music, specifically guitar. So my dad, guitarist, full-blown guitarist. If I'm not mistaken, that's even how my parents met. My dad was out there, doing on a gig, right? And then my mom essentially was there, and I think that's how they met. I think that's how the story goes. So again, my dad was the front man, right? He was a guitarist. He would sing.
Getting all the ladies.
Getting the ladies, yeah. So I guess it worked. So again, growing up, man, it was all music, all 70s, even 60s, 70s, 80s rocks, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, you name it. I think the first song that I can remember, right, is Kashmir from Led Zeppelin. And I can remember driving down. My dad was driving me down to, I think it was elementary school, on his white, what was it? I think it was a white Firebird, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was a Pontiac something Firebird. And
nice car.
Yeah, and dude, like that, it's either Kashmir or Living in a Prayer, I think, from Bon Jovi. That's the first song that I can remember that I listened to. So again, you can like really see like where my whole experiences were from, right? So I remember my dad always playing guitar. He had pianos in the house. He had a beautiful dark purple Chevelle, like a one piece, dude. That was amazing, right? So he adored that thing. So to me, it was just very natural to me to grab something and play, right? But I really didn't get a whole lot of interest until I was probably like 12 or 13.
Okay.
I just grabbed it, right? My dad will just kind of.
What was the first song, I guess, that you were like, this is it?
So, sounds cliche, man. So my dad taught me when I was ready. He's like, all right, here's Deep Purple, right? So there I am playing Smoke on the Water, for like probably 2 weeks straight. But my dad also would play a tune, right? And I was like, dude, who's that? Like, what is that? I want to learn that. Like, whatever you're doing, I want to do. And of course, it was Stairway to Heaven, right? But I just never heard the song. But as a kid, I was like, dude, I just gravitated to that nice little melody. And when he taught me how to play Stairway to Heaven, that's it, man. Like, that was like when I connected. Sounds super cliche, right? But it's one of those things where it was just really, really awesome. Fun fact, a lot of people have been asking about, hey, do a cover, right? Of Stairway to Heaven. My mom loves Stairway to Heaven as well. But I've on purpose not done it just because of the whole memes out there.
I mean, that song. It's I guess it's being played enough for I don't know, another 100 generations to come. Like it's kind of like it's banned. But hey,
so that's one of the reasons I haven't really done it. Just I want to avoid the memes out there, but I have to. I guess it's one of my mom's favorite songs. So I guess I have to, right?
Or you could try one of those Stairway to Heaven, but it's John Mayer.
Yeah.
And it make it like sound like somebody else.
It something. Yeah, I might just.
But I mean, just to get a laugh out of it.
100%. So to me, it was that just kind of like starting with my dad as a musician, but when it just really blew up, at least in my mind, was when she showed me G3 live in Denver. Oh my god!
Oh, you got the live in Denver.
Live in Denver.
I was about to tell you, for me also, like what separates the, I guess the natural desire to learn an instrument and solidifying it, like I want to do this. To me, was G3, but the first one. The one with Eric Johnson. Okay. So, like, Steve Vai, Eric Johnson. In this order, Steve Vai, Eric Johnson, and Joe Satriani. That's the way I like them. And I think when we first talked about it, the first time we met, we were talking about, like, a lot of people is like, who's best, right? Like, who's the better guitar player? And everybody's gonna give you a different answer. But to me, Steve Vai conveyed a lot of the things that were more than just guitaring. Joe Satriani, I would see him and it's like, that's awesome. All those crazy squeals and the harmonics and the way he uses melody and the bluesy thing. Like that's his thing, and that's great.
Yeah.
And his guitar was awesome. The one the mirror one.
Yeah.
Like it would reflect every kind of light. It was awesome. I loved it. But Vai had something else. Like it's like, yes, I got melody, I got shred, I got theatrics, I got like all the gimmicks that you can think of, and then the music was just like different. Like it was a little. I don't know how to call it. Like it's just it had a little extra in the guitar. Like whenever I remember listening when the iPods first came out, and you started like using other sources than iTunes to fill up your your iPod. I remember like finding a CD of Steve Vai and listening to it. And it's like I'm like the guitar speaks. Like it was like that. Like, man, I want to play the guitar. I want to make it to the point in which whenever I grabbed it, it feels like it's speaking. Like it was just, I guess, one of those things that like inspired me a lot.
How old were you when you saw like your first G3?
Probably like 15, 16 years old.
Okay. So you were a little up there now, man. To me, I think I was probably like eighth grade, maybe freshman. And yeah, I kind of skipped that first one. I went to Live in Denver, and Joe Satriani order. Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, and then Inve Malmsteen.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, dude, it was like, oh my god, every single thing. Like I haven't experienced any of that. I went from again Led Zeppelin, and again great stuff, right? Led Zeppelin, Beatles, Pink Floyd, but I never got into like the virtuoso, right? Until my dad was like, hey, check this out. You're gonna like this guy, especially the last one. I'm like, oh, okay, Malmsteen.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, man. Went to my room, popped a DVD, and dude, halfway through it, I was like consumed, like obsessed about these folks, right? And then Inve Malmsteen just kind of finishing things off, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it was like I want that. So the rest was history, man. Like that's pretty much what really set the whole perception of me wanting to be a real guitar player, not just a bedroom guitar player, not just an average, chord player. I wanted to be one of them, right? I wanted to play like one of them. I never wanted to be an artist, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted that skill. I just thought it was so awesome.
Up until this day, I still dream with the day in which I can finish one full song of them. Like, like this is what happens to me, and it's a love-hate relationship that I have with myself, because the thing is, since I grew up listening to worship music, and you could say that it's pop music. Mana, like yes, it's a Mexican rock band, but it's music that that's easy to listen, right? So to me, it was just that, the mixture of like playing something, and it has a like nice guitar solo, and you play that thing, and it just kind of enhances the song, and then like continue with the song. Like, that was kind of like the structure of music that I was used to. So whenever I heard an entire instrumental piece, it's like, man, how am I gonna learn all this stuff? Like, do they memorize it? Do they read it? Do they what do? Do they just track one part and then they track another? Like, all these questions, I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't have the faintest idea of how they achieve all that. But I started learning some stuff. I started especially just the parts that I liked. There was a song that I liked. I guess the closest one that I played was it was For the Love of God, and I would say I had it up until 90%. That little crazy part where he's training all that, never got it. Like, I had the book, and everything, but just I didn't have the patience to sit down and study note by note.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, there's people out there that can do it, but I don't think there's like 100% accuracy with these people, right? So I don't feel too bad about it. To be honest with you, and you were playing a little bit ago. I'm like, dude, how does this dude remember all these things, right? Dude, I'm a goldfish when it comes to music and a lot of things. Dude, I just can't. Even though I've listened to things a million times, I just can't do it. So I've learned a few songs, like from top to finish, probably 80%, right? Because the other solos, I'm kind of like messing around. But then, I don't know, months go by and then I just can't anymore, right? I just can't. I just did last year I did Satch Boogie from top to bottom, right? And I put it on YouTube. I was happy with the product, cool. But I can't play it again. Like, I just can't.
It's like you learn it, you played it,
and it's
if
gone.
you didn't record it, it's your problem. Like, you won't have proof that you were able to play the whole thing. Like, I'm in a stage in my life in which this is I suppose this is what happens to you when you're a kid. Then you're learning how to speak, so you learn a lot of stuff, and your brain is just sponge that is absorbing a lot of stuff. But then it gets to a point in which is use it or lose it, bro. Well, I'm at that stage now. And so like, there's a lot of stuff that I knew that I knew that it was easy for me at a certain point. But since I don't use it anymore, because I mean, who's gonna be playing like 30-second notes, 64 notes on a worship service? Like, there's not that it's impossible. It's encouraged if it's done right. But you can't do that all the time in those environments. So if you don't use that, it's like you're athletic. Like, you could be in shape all your life, but then you just slow down. And start like not taking care of yourself, and it's like you cannot just go back at it. I think it's something that needs to be maintained.
100%, man. So it's one of those things. I don't feel too bad about it anymore, But that's one of the reasons why I gravitate more into improvising now. So improvising to me is pretty much 90% of my playing now. I practice and then I just kind of improvise a whole lot. One, because I don't have to memorize a whole lot of licks, but at the same time, it seems like I'm learning as I improvise more and more. Like, because I get tired of my own playing. Sometimes I just get tired of my own licks that I come up with, and it just pushes me to start exploring more things, right? So
something.
I'm actually need to steal a couple of your licks, man. That were crazy. So like, I need to learn that. So that's cool.
Yeah, we'll try some.
Yeah. First guitar, man. What was that like? What do you have? Well, I don't know. What's your first real guitar? Because I know everybody, you probably grabbed the whatever one, but what was the first guitar you're like, hey, I just bought this, or someone bought this for me?
Well, taking it back from where I made the audition and I made it into the worship team. 3 weeks later, my dad bought me a Yamaha Pacifica 312.
Okay.
And that's a guitar that I grew up playing with, like at least 4 years non-stop, every single day, no less than 10 hours per day. Because as soon as I got that guitar, like I would sleep with it, I would go to the restroom with it. I know it sounds nasty, but like that was it.
I heard Nuno Betancourt came up with a very famous song like that. He took his guitar to the restroom
and he
came up with one, and it's super famous. And so okay, cool.
Yeah, so I had that guitar for a while, and I made a mistake. If you're listening to me right now and you have your first guitar, you're a newbie, you have your guitar, it's your first guitar, it doesn't matter how good or how bad it is, don't sell it. Don't sell it. You really need to not like it in order for you to get rid of it, but don't sell it. Like, there's a lot of sentimental value that it brings good memories. And anyways, that's what happened to me. I sold it because I wanted a second one. Good thing is I sold it to a close friend of the family. And years passed, and I came here to the state. I started my life over here in the States, and just kind of forgot about it. And then one day, this friend was going through a rough patch, and he was going to sell the guitar. So they notified my mom, and my mom on the spot is like, sell it to me. Here you go.
Oh, nice.
And in one of my trips to visit my family, my mom was like, look, here
That's
it is back. So the guitar had a couple of modifications. They changed the bridge pickup. They put the bridge pickup of an Ibanez S.
Okay.
They put one of those, so it had a black pickup and all the other two white.
Yeah.
So once I brought it here, I changed it. I got one of those. This video is not sponsored, but I got that EMG Steve Lukather pickups. They sell you the whole thing. You're supposed to just put it on your Strat, but the body is different. Okay. It's not a Strat.
Yeah, it's not a Strat.
And the holes don't line up. So what I ended up doing is just removing the pickups and transfer it into my pick guard. And it sounds great. I love it. Like, honestly, the only thing that I could change right now is the bridge again. I changed all the I put locking tuners. Mm-hmm. I changed the bridge. The bridge is just very poor quality, but still plays amazing. I love how it sounds, and I've been recording a couple videos with it, and people they like it. So that means it sounds good.
That's awesome. It being your first guitar, man. I'll show you my first guitar. Yeah. It's not in good shape. It didn't even make it out to the spot. Let me see what we're playing it, dude.
You need a bigger room, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, man. And this one, it's in a really rough spot, bro. I do have plans though to do something with it, but this is it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
An SG type.
Yeah, it's a Epiphone SG.
Mm-hmm.
But as you can see, one of my uncles, he stepped on the cord, right, and it just bended. It bended this, and yeah, is definitely not in working condition. So yeah, this is my first guitar, so I worked for it. My grandma had gave me some money. I think I was cleaning the house or something like that. And again, I've played a lot of acoustic, and I was ready for it, man. And so she gave me, I don't know, about $300.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my dad, hey, I think I'm ready. So we went over to a guitar spot back in Texas. And he's like, all right, what do you want? So as you could tell, I was really big on AC/DC.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, this one's it, right? So yeah, man, this was the thing, man. But I'll be honest with you, I think 2 years, man, and that's it. This thing was gone. And then I started like getting more guitars, man. But one of these days, man, I'm gonna get it fixed.
Yeah, man. It's like, I'm pretty sure you spent a lot of hours with that guitar. To me, like, it has a great value. There's several things that I remember that I learned in playing my guitar. Like, the first techniques. And actually, there's a recording where I recorded for the first time. I was 14. I had that guitar, and like, I think it was like about like 6 months later after I got the guitar, that the person that was teaching us at church, he had the vision of, okay, you guys are a worship team. I wrote this song, learn this song, and play it, and we're gonna record it. So he taught me the solo and the parts, and I learned them, and I recorded for the first time, and I used his equipment, but with my guitar, and yeah, it was tragic in a way, because I listen to it right now, like, and it's like I just cringe.
Oh,
but
man.
it's a great memory. It was the first time I was in the studio.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
and like, those memories, they're just too good to forget.
Yeah.
And that having that guitar is like, I remember.
100%, dude. Now that you're talking about like your first song, man, I remember the first time I wrote something. It was back home as well, Texas. My dad had given me like a big cassette-looking thing with like a record, and it even looked like a looper, but it was like a record play, and it would essentially record it on a cassette, and then you'll put it on the other side and listen to it, which is crazy. So one will record,
and the other one,
and then the other one will play it. But again, it's just a one-track type of thing. So I remember I grabbed the acoustic, and then I just dropped some chords. And then I flipped it. So essentially it was a 2-track then. So you'll put it in, and then you can play over whatever you did, man. So again, it was like a looper. And I did that whatever I do now. I play chords, and then I improvised over it. And then I recorded. Somehow, dude, I was able to get it into some sort of a laptop. Okay. I can't remember how, but I was able to get that recording into a laptop. And then I sent it to my mom in an email. An AOL email probably, and I was like, hey, like, I made my first song. It's called Living in a Dream. For some reason, right? I was like super into deep titles. Dude, she calls me like crying, like, I can't believe that's you, like, that's just amazing. So I was like, oh, I guess it sounds good. Fast forward to like probably 20 years, dude. We just listened to that song a few months ago, and she started crying again, man. Like, I can't believe this is your first song. I'll play it for you like after this so you can hear it. But yeah, man, like,
great, yeah.
I don't know. I think music is a huge part of us, have a lot of good stories. Families kind of knows us for that. Like, oh, the guitar is the musician, the whatever, and it has become like some sort of an identity, man, which I enjoy, I embrace. And now with social media, right, like, just trying to put our gifts out there, man, I think is pretty cool. So what was your aha moment, right, when you noticed where, hey, this is not just like a quick hobby, or hey, I know how to play a few chords, know how to play guitar. Like, what was that moment where you found that identity with guitar or music?
I think it was probably like 2-3 years after I was playing, because what happened was that, like, I became really good at it, and I was a quick learner. that not only did I learn guitar, but I learned enough guitars for me to not having to be looking at the guitar to play. So I would play that, and I would start looking at the drums and just learning drums by looking at the drummer. And then same thing with bass, same thing with keyboard, with keys. And then something that used to happen, or the church where I grew up, they would have a service in the morning, 10 a.m., 10 to 1, or 10 to 12:30. And then we would go and have lunch. And then I would go back to church, and they were gracious enough to let me be there. And I would just start like, okay, I saw the drummer do this, so I started playing drums like that. Same thing with the keys, same thing with bass. Just I would grab their instruments and I would play them, and just as a thank you, I guess what I used to do is just clean the instruments. And I would clean the instruments every week, and just like especially drums that the sticks, they start breaking up, and there's a lot of wood around, so I would clean that up. And just try to leave everything neat for them, like rolling up cables, cleaning all that stuff. So I was obsessed with it, and I noticed that a lot of people they would just kind of like distance themselves from me, like, you know what, this is not for everybody.
Yeah.
It seemed like it's not that I'm doing something wrong. It's just like what I'm getting into is not like so interesting for them. So like you said, like, it kind of like became part of my identity, because they would like, refer to me as oh, the guy who plays guitar from that's cool. The guy who plays guitar, the one with the black guitar, the black acoustic guitar, yeah, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah.
So just kind of give you that I guess additional confidence.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I want to do something with it. But I actually started when I consider it more intently was after I noticed that I was starting to be an architect, and the computer came in, and AutoCAD came in, and like everybody who has a computer could make better plans than me. It's like, no, like I've been putting so much effort into this art of like having my lines all clean and having all the equipment. Like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. I think I'm gonna pursue music.
Wow.
And that's what I did. Like, wow. I just because I guess technology came in an area where I wasn't expecting it, and I was like, I don't want to do that. I want something that it's me.
Yeah.
So that's why I turned into music. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I think you said a word, right, that kind of resonated with me, and it's the obsessed, right? So to me, do the same thing, man. Like, there was a point in my life where like I just couldn't live without it, right? I would be walking with my friends on the mall, and I would just be going over songs, right? Like my hands were going like with the movements, and I was just, and I knew like priorities were very different for my friends, right? They were all into girls and all that stuff. Not that I wasn't, right? But they just didn't have that X factor, right? They just didn't have that extra little something. For them, it was just waking up, right? Going to school and doing whatever. Girls. And for me, and for me, it was like all day. While I was at school, before going to bed, as soon as I would wake up. So my aha moment was one summer, dude. I think I was a freshman or a sophomore, where it was summer break. So my parents are divorced, right? So I went from El Paso, Texas to here. My mom lives here. And so I brought my guitar, and I was like, hey, well, I have nothing to do in the summer, so let me just play, right? Let me just practice. Dude, it was crazy, dude, where I would start playing my guitar and finish until 7 in the morning. Okay.
Overnight.
I will go to bed, wake up at 1. My mom will cook something for me, and then do it all over again. Dude, 7, 8 in the morning, my mom will tell me, hey, like, I heard you playing, right? Practicing before going to bed. I woke up and you were still there. Like, that's just crazy, right? And to me, that's how I made a huge progress. Yeah. Like, I made a huge progress, and it was like, okay, when I came back, from that break, my guitar teacher was like, oh my God, like, what happened to you, right? Like it's one of those things. And for me, it was just obsession, man. Like, I just couldn't stop talking about it, thinking about it, playing. Unfortunately, I couldn't play like like them people. But again, it was one of those things where I was like completely obsessed. And you can even think about this moment, man. You know, sometimes I get into some rants with my wife about music and love her to death, man. She just shakes her head like, yeah, love it, but she doesn't understand a single thing that I'm saying. But hey, she's such a trooper, man.
That's awesome, man.
Hey, well, let's get into some geeky stuff, man. So, what's your current gear? What you got going on?
Well, currently I'm using a Line 6 Helix LT, and I've been for the past year and a half, I've been playing that Sir Mateo Sasato.
Wow.
That's kind of like 90% of the time. That's what I'm playing. I've never been a like geek in terms of knowing a lot about gear. I play what it works for me. I started with the Line 6 actually. Well, actually, I started with my guitar straight into the mixer. That was it.
That's a sin.
That's kind of like, if you sound good like that,
Yeah.
okay, you can sound good
True.
with anything else. But yeah, like and I don't know if you've seen it, but even John Mayer has a video where he's playing straight into a mixer.
Like a DI, just DI.
Not even well, I don't know if he said DI, but he's like, there's no processing in it. It's just the mixer and whatever EQ you have in the mixer, and that's it. And he's just grooving, man. It's that's technically the case for me, and it was because I didn't know better. Like I didn't know many things. So and that's the way they used to make it work at church. So then I had a little Yamaha overdrive that I lended to someone, and I never got it back. And then from there, my dad was like, okay, it seems like you're taking this seriously. So 1 year later, after getting the guitar, he got me an amp, and I had a Marshall Velfsade 15. And that's the first time I had like true distortion, like true overdrive. So I read the instructions and I set it up for what they said that it was gonna be, a crunchy, like distorted sound. First thing I played was Eye of the Tiger. And like, man, this sounds nice. And I was since then I was always used to having distortion coming from an amp and not a pedal.
Yeah.
And so later on, I had I still have it, an ADA MP1.
Okay.
It's one of those rack units. Sounds. I need to make a video with it. Like it's Paul Gilbert had one of those, or two of those in his rack back in the early 90s. And yeah, like after that, like I jumped straight into that the Line 6, the little bean, the red bean.
Yeah, the pod.
The pod, the 2.0. That's the one that I had, which a lot of people liked mine and didn't like others because mine sounded like I guess better.
Okay.
But I ended up like they stole that little bean from me. So from there I moved into a Vox Tone Lab.
Okay.
That also, like, I didn't like the distortions as much as I liked the Line 6 ones. And then after that, like, I went into the whole pedals journey, but I was never happy with it, I guess, because I was never getting the type of distortion that I wanted. And like I could go like 4 hours as to which type of gear I got into, but I ended up landing on the Helix LT. I actually started with the stump, but in order for me to use it the way I wanted, I needed more buttons. 3 buttons weren't enough, so the next best thing was the LT, and that's what I got.
100%, man. So yeah, I think we have that similarity. Right now I'm rocking the Helix, the regular Helix. Again, I think Chris Rocha, I saw Chris Rocha with it, you know, when he started using it, and I was like, man, what is this, you know, like let me look into it, right? So I was looking at his things, and And I was like, man, this is exactly what I need for worship, right? It has everything. And also I've been hearing, some other cats using it for, I don't know, progressive metal, and does everything, right?
Yeah.
So same thing. I started, with the 2-track thing, just plug it in there, listening through my headphones, and I was like, hey, I'm making it happen. But then, my dad had a lot of pedals laying around, a lot of things, and I started just hooking things up. Like, what happens if when I do reverb before distortion before reverb, and doing all these sticks, experimenting. But then when I started getting into like the real tone, right? Dude, I'm with you, dude. I was never happy with whatever I was putting together. I would love it that night. I would go to bed, wake up, and hate it in the morning for some reason, right? So it was just one of those things where I was never happy until I started getting into like the digital stuff. I think that's when I started like really dialing things like how I liked. And I think I am one of those bedroom studio musicians, because everything that I now look for is, yes, it sounds good now in my ears, but does it sound good in a mix? That's why I love my Helix, because if you were to see my Helix, my how I have my settings, it's just wild, man. I start with with my signal, and then automatically I'm cleaning it up with a EQ, and then an EQ right at the mid of the chain, and another EQ at the end of the chain, right? Essentially, it seems like I'm mixing my board.
Right, because I guess you're kind of like tailoring the signal as you're building it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like what happens when you start getting into mixing. Like you start EQing vocals, for example, cleaning it up, and then you might need to, depending on the quality of your recording, you start adding things up over here and whatnot to get that polished result.
And I think this is a whole topic on its own, right? But I think that's what happens right now with modern music, right? Or maybe folks like us that we had to go to school, we had to go to work, we have lives, and again, I couldn't experiment with expensive amps, right? So my thing was headphones, right? We're talking about a little bit ago where we grew up in the headphone era, right? We listen all the details, we do this and that, and to me, like, if it doesn't sound good on headphones, like, it's not a good tone to me. Yes, it might sound good in a speaker, but if I can't replay that on my car, on my phone, or on my studio speakers, it's not a good tone to me.
Yeah.
So Helix gives me that versatility to like really sound good on the go, right? Yes, there's sometimes that I wish I could drive a little bit more of that oomph that amps have. But again,
I think for me, like a lot of people, whenever they ask me, hey, do you prefer real amps or do you prefer digital? And it depends on the application for me. Like I can't compare them because I don't get the same the same experience whenever I have a real amp, like let's say we have a band over here and the bass player has his amp and the drummer has like a real drum. He's not mic'd up, we're just all together in one room. Obviously I want something that it will kind of like complement. So in a live band scenario, a small venue in which you can have a good amp and run it and yes, mic it or whatnot, but you have the stage volume is part of your performance. Obviously a real amp gives you a better experience as a musician, because that's what we're used to an extent, right? You practice with your amp and you get all that sound happening in the room, so you're used to that. But whenever you go, like for example, in an environment where like many churches now, like transition is everything is in ears. During a period of time, I was still carrying my Mesa Mark V and taking it to church.
Jesus.
And then having it mic'd in an isolation cabinet, and having my pedal board and running everything. But at the end of the day, I wasn't getting the same results because that signal is being processed. First, it's all like if you run it super loud, like it defeats the purpose of having an isolation cabinet, because you're just like creating this amount of energy happening, and the mic is just trying to keep up and getting what you can, and then that is being sent into a mixer, and that mixer is processing that signal, and that signal is being sent to your in-ears, and depends on the type of in-ears, like that's what the result that you're getting, you know, like it's not necessarily the same as having the amp
And
right next
also
to
the
you.
EQ that you have on your box to listen to the in-ears.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that happens to me a lot, you know, where, well, I guess it used to happen to me more often than now. Now that I have like a set preset for worship, right? I hardly ever change it on my Helix. Man, it's not sponsored by Helix, but Line 6, if you want to come through.
I mean, you guys have done a pretty good job, like for the past, what, it was it 2016 when it was
Think so.
released? It's like getting close to like 10 years, and the thing is still relevant.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
100%.
Every single firmware update, like they knock it out of the park. Like,
But just last night, right? I was playing around Neural DSP and a lot of these things, and man, like the one that honestly did the job for my track last night was the Helix, right? And that's another thing that I run a lot, Neural DSP. So not sponsored, but Neural DSP, man, great stuff. So a lot of the things that I do here. So again, I think I do more of songwriting and like making music that. Neural DSP just gives me an amazing right out of the box tone, right? And I have these things so memorized now, like the Corey Wong, Archetype Corey Wong, Rebea, the Petrucci, that sometimes I'm mixing something, I'm like, oh, it needs this, right? A specific tone that I know I have in my library that I can just pull up and then just direct it. Dude, it's just amazing. So that's one of those things that I've been really hooked on. Now, it might not be, at least for my application in worship, Neural DSP to this moment is not what I need. But for my mixes, for my tracks, and for whatever I record, Neural DSP is where it's at. Just because, again, I can tweak it really fast. Everything sounds really, really good. But for worship, I think Helix is still on top.
Yeah, there's I've seen a lot of guys that have a hybrid board, in which they use like the Neural DSP. I mean,
Quad Cortex?
the Quad Cortex, and they have their preference of drives and delays and all this stuff. They only use
Stomp.
the amps on the on the Quad Cortex, or just some of the effects, but not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because worship, the CCM, it has a particular type of sound that a lot of people are so used to, that like you want to pursue that. Like it's a lot of it has to do with your preference, of course, but it's like if it doesn't sound like what it should sound, and like it's not quite there yet. And with Helix, you get everything in one package. Yeah, and some people they just go hybrid. They use the whether Quad Cortex or the Stomp, or now these other forget the name of it, Tonex.
Oh yeah.
They get two of those mini Tonex, and they use it as their cabinets. Amp cabinets.
Yeah.
They run everything.
I heard Universal Audio is coming out with their whole line of Dumble, rectifiers and all that stuff. So I mean, it looks interesting. And now again, it's even on your phone. You can use the app to run with it. So again, they sound pretty darn good, man. So again, there's a lot of gear out there, but to me, what works for me right now is the combination of like Line 6 and Neural DSP. It's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna make it out to NAMM next year. So hopefully Neural DSP is out there and just kind of try their new stuff, or at least talk to the people, man. Because I mean the products that they're launching is pretty awesome. So that's cool. Hey, so what are you listening to nowadays? Like what's your go-to right now?
Well, crazy enough, I don't listen to a lot of music anymore.
Okay.
It's
You drive in silence.
I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Okay.
I'm in I guess in my adulting era.
Yeah.
And I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Music wise, I think, and it's always been like this. It's kind of like more than than like pursuing what's new. It's like if it hits me, like I don't need to be looking for it. Like it's kind of like it finds me, and then I'm obsessed. And that happened like 3 years ago with a band called Gable Price and Friends.
Okay.
They are Bethel, kind of like California, like from those. They're related, I guess, somehow with those guys. And their first album got like they were ready, and then lockdown happened. So like they couldn't promote it. They ended up doing some sort of like release, online release, and all that stuff. But that album, like, wrecked me. Like it was one of those things that I wasn't looking for it, and it found me, and it like I'm obsessed. And I was listening to that over and over. I don't know. I probably gave it no less than 100,000 plays to the whole album because it was pretty good. The guitar tones, bass tones, lyrics, like drums, everything was on point. Like it's one of my still like favorite albums. Lately, I'm listening to Telos from Zed. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's a DJ. He's the one that did what's
Is that Zed? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
He released an album.
Okay.
One of the things that I like about his music is that he is a musician, not just a DJ. He's a musician. He thinks as a producer, and obviously he does EDM. So he mixes all of those elements. And when you listen to the album from song 1 to song 10, I don't remember how many tracks are they. All of them are connected, so you're listening to an experience. You're not just listening to one song. There's a collaboration that I never expected. Like John Mayer comes up in there. Like there's a automatic. The song is called Automatic. He has a solo in there. It was like I was obsessed with it for a while. There's one song that I'm working on. I'm trying to learn it. It's called. It's from. I think the name of the song is Sona, and it has some guest musicians in there. It sounds like very folk, like a violin and like a flute, like kind of like Irish kind of thing. But it's a melodic line that is happening over there. It's in 7/8, I think, and then it changes to 4/4, and then it does a transition into another song. I mean, like. I don't listen to a lot of music, but if the music finds me, I won't stop listening to it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, right now I think I'm back into. I don't know if you know who Nick Johnston is. Like, man, I was listening to one of their new albums, or one of his new albums. Man, it just takes me into this whole roller coaster of what you can really do, not only with the instrument but the songwriting overall, man. So I've been really, really hooked with it. It's one of those things that I really enjoy when people take the time to do something creative, right? Because, someone like him, I know he can shred for days, right? But just taking a step back and like doing something meaningful with the music that he does, to me, it just absorbs me, man, which is really awesome.
That is something that I always try. I guess that's what I pursue more than all the acrobatics. I do like. I'm a sucker for shred. I like shredding, right? I love it. I'm a very what's it called? Paul Gilbert, John Petrucci, all of those guys. But there is always something when they put their emotions in it, like the combination of that emotion, that melodic emotion that you can get from them, and the shredding is like. Yeah, like it's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, Nick Johnson it has like incredible music,
amazing stuff. If you could go back and give yourself, or give your younger self as advice as a guitarist, what would you say to yourself, like a young version of you?
A young version of me. If the young version of me is listening, and you're in the part in which like everything comes easy because you listen to it, and it's like. There's a connection between your ear and your fingers, and you just listen and something comes very easy to you. I would suggest that right at this moment, start paying a lot of attention to music theory.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest limitations that I encountered as a musician was not paying enough attention to music theory, and the reason is because I depended so much on my ear and how fast I would get results
Yeah.
by applying my ear to it, as opposed to understanding the complexities of everything. You don't need to know everything at once, but focusing on the importance of rhythm, how important all the rhythm has in music, not only as a guitar player, but in general. You as being a part of a rhythmic section
Yeah.
in a band. Same thing with textures, sonic textures. All the modes and all this stuff. Um, I see both cases. There's people who are really focused on theory and they see it as something like exciting. It's like it clicks, it makes sense. Oh, this is a Dorian mode and we can use it on here. And if you're using this chord, then you can change into this, and they get all excited about it. But in the process, they kind of like detach a little bit of what you could feel through it, and I think that the best thing that we can do as musicians or as a guitar players first, I think there's a difference between being a guitar player and being a musician. Even though a guitar player makes music, you could be a very good guitar player and not be musical. So I think if you put enough attention to the theory part, that is going to open up your mind to many things, comprehension of many things, and you continue to develop your ear as much as you can, you're going to be in a good spot. So yeah, to my younger self, I would tell, pay attention to music theory.
That's awesome, man. I think for me, it's very, very similar. It's one of those things where, like I told you, that summer, I learned a lot. Then I came back, and then I was like, oh, I can play 80% of the music that's out there, right? And then I just started learning. But I didn't really, I kind of just jumped the whole concepts, right? Jumped concepts, man. I was just hearing it, playing it, but I was not grasping theory, right? Just because, again, there was nobody to tell me, hey, I wasn't playing with bands or whatever the case was until I started getting into more worship, right? Where I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can't communicate with these people. I need to start learning, what I'm doing. So I had my basics, but I just never had those advanced theory things. So to my younger self, it will be not only learn one instrument, right? Because I feel like you can cheat your way around guitar, especially in theory. Learn piano, right? Learn piano, understand what you're doing. Like I know I would hear some things, right? Oh, I love how this sounds, right? But I didn't know why. So I would have loved to spend more time on, okay, why do I love this sound, right? What is this, right? And then maybe use those same concepts in the songwriting, whatever the case is, because it was one of those things where I was just playing through them so fast that I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. So for me, it's like, hey, slow down a little bit, slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
You're still not, you're 20 years down the road and you still can't play Inve Monsters. So,
Right.
So just slow down, understand the concept of music and have fun,
Yeah. Like I think the like you mentioned, like having fun, like it's part of it, but just like adulting, like you can still have fun, but you gotta consider your responsibilities and what everything that conveys, and I think as a musician, like like moving from the level of being a guitar player and adulting into a musician requires that I guess ability to focus on on the long race, on the long run, and yeah, we have that in common as well.
Yeah, 100%. I envy a lot of these people, man, who are really good in their technique. They're really good at theory, and they're really good at producing, right? Mixing and doing all these things. Someone that comes to mind, and I can't stop talking about him, is Corey Wong.
Oh yeah,
dude, like not only his technique, right, but the way this guy arranges, right, the way this guy makes music is,
he don't miss.
He does not miss, right? So that alone that concept is hard, right? Being very skillful, knowing what you're doing, but also producing, like also knowing what to do when it comes to mixes, like having a mix in mind when you're playing, when you're creating. So I think that's the perfect spot where at least I don't think I'll ever get into that, level. But if I can get close to that, where I can not master, but at least be proficient at those three things simultaneously, dude, I will be in a really good spot. To me, it's like, all right, I made it.
That I think, and that's a very honest goal. Like it's not about reaching and achieving everything. It's like, hey, if I can do this, and I can do this, and I can mix all these things, like that's where I want to be. One of the things that happened to me this year is I became MD for my church, and as an MD, like I have, I guess, the responsibility to communicate, not to tell people what to do or be like that annoying voice reminding people, oh, here comes the chorus, oh, I see it as like nothing against that style of MDing, like there's different applications for that spot. Sometimes, like, you really don't have anything in it. There's people that they just they got the call last night and they showing up and they being guided by this by this person, right? But in my case, I try to mix or do a blend of the things that I like to do, which is like that musicality, connecting the songs, not just press play, we play, press stop, okay, next song, press play, we play with it. Like that, to me, that's just glorified karaoke. If that was the case, I think churches would be better just with the computer and one musician,
I hear you.
But having the ability to have musicians, and they have their own personalities, they can, bring that to the table, and it's, if there's space for it, like, let's use it, and I always encourage my friends and the people that come and help us out at church. It's like, hey, there's a space over here. If you think that you want to do something over there, go for it. If not, that's fine. And I try to me, something that I'm getting obsessed right now is transitions, connecting one song to another, moving from one crazy tempo to another, creating a section that is gonna glue both keys without stopping the song. Just one whole flow.
That's awesome.
Like one moment. That's and like you said, like mixing all those goals and having an idea of what you want to do. It's something beautiful, and it's worth pursuing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I'll finish up with this. So again, to me, like now we're talking about a little bit of goals. One, you always want to get better, but something that we're talking about, like, to me, has been really present. To be able to help that worship community, like, start producing like worship artists, start mixing and having something decent for themselves, for those artists who never thought possible, like recording something really good quality and putting it out there, right? There's a lot of singers specifically who are really good at singing, right, but they just really don't know what to do with it, right? So they are always depending on a pianist or musician, and then doing that, and then taking it to a studio, and then hiring a recording engineer, an audio engineer, a mixing engineer, a mastering engineer, booking studio time. So a lot of these things. So to me, is like, how can I get as proficient to do all of these things so I can start helping the worship community to put something together really nice, a nice demo, a nice EP, something that they can take, be ready to be published in any type of platform, or take it somewhere if they want to take it to the next level to get, a really good quality production, in the big studio. So, to me, that's a goal. I've been learning a lot. I've been enjoying the whole process. So that's something that is very tangible, and I definitely wanna keep creating. So, my dude, appreciate you for coming, dude.
Hey,
it's crazy, man. You travel the whole from Georgia to Phoenix, man.
Yeah.
To make this, man, which is
We'll,
awesome.
and we'll make it happen. Next time it happens, like I would love to continue and pick up where we left off, man, because these are the type of conversations that you don't necessarily have the opportunity to have, especially with people that we know each other, like I guess just enough, but also like the fact that we can go so deep in these things and have so many things in common, that's pretty refreshing.
And it's crazy that I even feel like we haven't even scratched the surface about these conversations, right? It was just like kind of like an introduction of it. So hopefully we can do it again. If we can't do it in person, maybe online or something, take it to the web. But I think that's cool. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. Till the next one. See ya.